You want to be an architect?
Maybe a truck driver?
Maybe a realtor?
Something in the medical field?
Huh. Listen to Career Paths with Unedited.
Thursdays.
Sure you have. You hurt yourself?
Yeah,
God, you're old.
I know. But that's what happens.
Huh. Well, I remember everybody, they sucks getting old. Well, what's the alternative?
Yeah,
Death?
yeah. I'm not ready for that one yet.
Yeah, no. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
What?
It's weird things.
That's what I
I
understand.
paid extra to not.
Huh. Who'd you talk to for this?
Someone at
Infonet. Infonet? The head uppers at Infonet?
yeah.
Huh. I got the card. Can you read my writing?
Barely.
Well, if you could have showed up to the meeting,
I didn't get the email.
you got the text, though.
That's not an email.
Welcome to Career Paths by Infonet. I'm your host, Victor Boudreau. Also with Mr. Ryan King. Instead of behind the camera, behind the scenes, which we're bringing you out. We're going to see how the people think about your look, your smile, your charisma. Wow. Comment on that one. Share. Yeah, it's not going to turn out well, is it? Hi, Ryan.
Hey.
So today our guest is Joel. Joel, how the heck are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Joel, I've known you for a while, haven't I?
Pretty sure about 40 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, we won't say it. We'll say why later. How's your life going? You're you're in Spokane right now
Correct.
for training, but you live on the west side of the West Washington.
Correct.
You're our first out of towner to do the show.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. When I heard you were in town, you're gonna be here for a week. I'm getting them. I told Ryan right away, whether you liked it or not.
But I kind of figured. So.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do though? I mean, come on. Besides come and harass me,
Exactly.
Harass some of the family that's over here. Everything else. How's the woman? Do you think Katie will ever watch this?
She was threatening to do it.
So Katie, hi. Hey.
Yeah.
Is it the love of your life now?
Of course.
Well, certainly. Ryan, anything you want to?
Probably shouldn't. Yeah, so.
Oh goodness. So you're over here doing training. You're learning, or you're sharing, or
No, we're.
So okay. What is your job title, and what do you do for a career?
So I work. My job title is technically my job title is superintendent, but I work for. We have a project going on right now. It's a 2-year project. It's called the Polaris Project, and I'm part of the
Polaris team.
Polaris team, basically the Polaris implementation team. So
That
we
sounds important.
kind of go out to all the distribution centers across the U.S. and assist in rolling out these initiatives that we have in place, helping them out if they're struggling with them, and
So
then
this is a big deal. Corporate.
it's a huge thing. They've invested a lot of money into it.
Can we say who's the owners and company?
Yeah, I mean the company's Albertsons company. So
they're based out of Boise.
They're based out of Boise. They own multiple
Business
storefronts across the United States.
Franchises?
East Coast. No, they're not franchises. They're all corporate stores. But East Coast, Central, Chicago area, down in Texas, West Coast, all along the West Coast.
The other stores.
You got Shaw's, you got Tom Thumb, Safeway, big in Washington, Northern California. You've got, like I said, Shaw's, Acme back east.
Higgins or something?
They do some of the Hagens, yes.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So, when I moved to Florida,
Yes.
there was Albertsons down there. They started closing. One of them turned into a Safeway. And then I think last time I was down there, it closed.
Yep.
But
Wow.
the gas station on the corner still does Safeway points. Like,
Yep.
where are you supposed to get the points from, though?
All the chevrons.
Well, that's handy.
Yep.
Interesting.
So let's give a little background on you. You have woman in your life.
Yes, I do.
You've been with her, Katie, for several years now.
Yep, we're
How many years?
we just had our
Katie,
sixth. We just had our 6th anniversary on the 6th of June.
6 and 6. Wow.
Yep.
Cheer.
Yep, and we've been together for it'll be 8 years.
Wow.
So yeah,
What's up with you?
yep, she sure does.
Thanks, Kate. Somebody has to. I don't want to. No kids.
No kids.
Mom and dad are still around.
Mom
You
and
get to
dad are
spend what
over
time?
in Western Washington,
Yeah.
and brothers down in Arizona.
Yeah, I met him too.
A couple of times, I think. Yeah, once or twice.
So, did you go to college?
I did. I went to WSU.
That's right. And I pissed you off back there or something. I can't remember the details. We'd have to go after the show and talk more. You didn't want to talk to me for a while. What happens in families. Oops, did I say families?
You did. You did.
Oops. So, were you going for a degree in that?
I did. I got a degree in criminal justice. At the time, I was trying to be. I kind of wanted to be a police officer,
Right.
but then at the same time, I was not prepared when I went to college and did not, and knew that I couldn't really afford or dedicate the time for what I really wanted to do. And so I didn't really go with a plan when I got over there. And the counselor kind of asked me when I went for my orientation, what do you want to major in? And I had no clue, and kind of told me that I had to make a decision because I should know this by now. And asked her what the easiest program was, and she told me, well, a lot of the athletes take criminal justice. So I said, all right, well, I guess we'll do that. And
how'd that turn out for you?
well, I'm not in any criminal justice field, so
Did you finish that?
I did.
Did you? Wow.
Yep.
I didn't remember.
Yep.
Huh. But you didn't use anything along those lines, because for me in life in general, you learn lessons and you learn something along the way. What from that, anything from that in particular, you can transfer
Yeah, I
to
think,
what you're doing now?
Well, I mean, not really anything that I can transfer, but that's one of the things that it was frustrating, and that I didn't do my research on before I decided to go after the degree, because it was one of those degrees that you would think that there was a lot of need or want for it at the time, but really at the time that I got it, really there was only one kind of entity that really focused on the criminal justice degree, and that was actually the Secret Service at the time. That was the only one that really emphasized, if you got a criminal justice degree, a lot of the police departments and stuff, they give you, you got a little bit higher of a pay rate if you had a college degree of some sort, but it never really specified criminal justice.
Okay.
And,
So yeah.
and so it was a weird situation, and but it's a degree is a degree is kind of the way that it was, the way that I looked at it back then. And
educated.
yeah, that's.
You were there for 4 years?
No, I only ended up going there for a year and a half because I took summer school, so I just got it done.
I didn't think you were there.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But-
Right. Anything you want to ask, Mr. Joel? Joel, what's your last name, by the way? I didn't ask that. What the heck?
It is Moulton.
Moulton.
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, once or
Somewhere.
twice. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Brian.
So, how and why did you end up, or did you become interested in the career you're in now?
Well, actually, when I was going to college and everything, I spent 14 years working at the airport.
Over in Seattle.
Over at SeaTac. Worked for a couple of different companies over there. When I started, that was what I was planning on doing for the rest of my life. My dad did it for his entire career. That was, of course, before September 11th, so different industry back then. Everything kind of changed after that, and I definitely went through my ringers back then. I was young and dumb, and they waved a lot of cash in front of me, and I thought I was ready. And that first management position that I had over there lasted 2.5 months before I was demoted. So I just kind of went up and down, did multiple positions, pretty much covered every position that there was over at the airport or within that industry as far as ground handling goes, and finally got burnt out and moved to the distribution side of things. Worked at a small beverage distributor down in Sumner that's no longer around, but got into it there. I'd ran warehouses up at the airport, but this is the first time away from the airline, and then moved around a little bit, and then finally got on with Safeway, and I've been with them for a little over almost 3 years now.
But what you're doing now is new.
This is new, yeah. This position's only been the last 2 months. So
And what was your position?
before that, I was actually they call it a superintendent, but basically it's kind of an assistant ops manager for the frozen warehouse over at the distribution center over in Auburn.
Look at that, superintendent.
Yeah.
You use that very.
It's kind of a weird title for the industry. You know, you think superintendent, a lot of times you think construction or something like that. So,
I think it's school for some reason.
well, yeah, school,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you. That's all I got.
that type of thing. Yeah.
In that office a lot.
Yeah, superintendent in the office.
You were in his
And
office.
I
a
was in
lot.
the principal's office a lot.
Good. Never mind.
Go ahead, Ryan.
No, after you. Please move on.
So who did you talk to in Infonet that you're hosting? Your
One of
co-hosting.
the top guys. One of the top two. I don't remember which one it was.
So to get to where you were here, so you did college, got out of college, you did your year and a half, whatever time, got back to the west side, started just doing it at the airport thing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was doing the airport thing actually before I mean, when I was in community college, I was doing the airport. I started back in
Okay, so
2000,
you did
2001.
community college too, so
Yeah.
okay, we'll clarify because
Sorry, yes, I did.
it's not your fault. I'm trying to deal with this guy over here that's co-hosting.
So I did 2 years. I did 2 years at Green River over in Auburn, and then did the second 2 years over here in Pullman.
Okay, so, yeah, that would make sense. I'm trying to figure out in my head how the heck did he
Yeah,
figure
no,
that? A year
it
and a
was
half, 2 years of
2 years
college
over there,
yes,
year and a half
okay.
over here.
All right. So, so you get back. You didn't follow up in that situation with criminal justice. You go back to the airport,
Mhm.
and you said you were there for 14 years?
Total of 14 years, yeah.
And
so
moved
I
around doing different stuff.
different
within-
stuff, or yeah,
Positions.
different stuff, different positions. So I ended up leaving. I left there in 2013. No, 2014. Sorry, I left there in 2014.
And did you know where you're going to go from
Nope.
there?
I had no clue.
You said,
I got lucky, and the day that I the day that I handed in my 2-week notice for my resignation happened to be the same day that my former boss had reached out to me about asking if I was still interested in this position.
Huh.
So just happened to luck
knew a
out.
guy.
and-
Common
yeah.
thread. You know a guy.
Yep.
Ryan.
What?
I'm sorry, Joel. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Did you do any more training? Does Safeway, Albertsons, did you have to do any training in particular? Do they do regular situation training? I've been around a couple companies where they always do something supposedly to give you more knowledge, more education along the way.
No, I mean, I think a lot of it is, you know, a lot of it's just general, you know, experience, and they get into it. I was one of the fortunate ones. I got hired from outside, so you know, I kind of had the experience from other distribution centers and just management in general, leadership in general when I went in there. But they do have training classes, like, you know, I completed 6 Sigma Green Belt. They paid for it for me to go and
I've
complete
never heard of
that.
that. Six Sigma. Okay.
Yeah,
Especially training for.
it's horrible for saying it, but basically it's a
Say it, man. Say it.
I'm trying to think of the words right now, but it's kind of a change management thing, and identifying waste in your operation, and identifying those and working to kind of streamline and eliminate those wastes.
Make it more efficient.
Yeah, make it more
Sure.
efficient, and
And that's what you're doing now.
that's for the most part that's what I'm a part of now, is doing that.
Stall questions like, you're part of the team.
Mhm.
that's going on in Spokane, but it came down the line through Albertsons to do this.
Yes.
Okay, so they already had certain things that they had in mind.
Yes, they have.
Okay.
We have a whole bunch of. I can't remember the exact number right now, but they
Yes.
have a whole bunch of things that they're doing. And
Implementing, getting ready to
and it's
change,
because of
making
the
improvements.
because of all of the different brands that we have, all the different distribution centers around the country. They're trying to streamline it, just make sure, you know, if I was to get up and move to, you know, the East Coast
Okay.
and work at one of their DCs, it would be like walking into mine. Just
Okay, so all of us is the same page.
yeah.
They hadn't, with all the other, they hadn't done that yet.
No, it's every distribution center was a little different. I mean, and that's what we're, you know,
Okay.
like I said, trying to fix. It's really kind of eye opening to go into it. And it's the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing, but everything's ran a little different, and it's
Right.
and different, you know, different way of running the operations and different ways they do things, and so it's just kind of like I said, to get it all on the
So
same
you've been
page.
there, just curious question, because so you've been there around 2 months doing this. Has something come up that you went, whoa?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's every
and you
time
get to go ahead and put input to
every
that?
time that we go into the DC, I mean, that's kind of what we're doing is we're
Okay.
trying to pull the best practices from every distribution center that we go
Right.
to.
You're not just pointing and laughing?
No, it's the goal is to obviously help out and to make the operation as a whole better. So you know, we're pulling the best practices from every distribution center and saying, hey, you know, we noticed this, or we've seen this happen at other distribution centers. You know, you might want to give it a hand and try it out, and you know, if it works, it works for you. If it doesn't, it's just, you know,
Right.
just offer that insight.
And you go in, you get to watch and see and check
Yep.
things and blah, 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 so you don't go in there and go, you messed up.
Nope.
I was gonna say the effed up word.
No,
You're
we're,
all effed up.
we're not auditors or anything like that. We're there just basically, we're there to help.
Wow.
I mean, we're there to make. I mean,
It's a positive thing.
yeah. And
Wow.
we're not there to judge. We don't call people out or anything. It's just we're there to help, and we're there to bring the best
Do you
practices
think
in there.
that these stores that you're going into trying to help, do they actually think that?
Oh yeah, well, no. I mean, it's
Thank you.
Well, it's one of those things that I think
Gonna
that no
fire
matter
somebody.
I think that no matter what company you work for, it doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter the company. Whenever you hear that, you know, a corporate team or something is coming
Yes.
in, you're immediately,
Something's
you know,
going on.
something's wrong, something's happening,
But usually,
and that's the big thing that we're trying to, you know, we have that when we go in. We have that kind of mentality of, or not that mentality. We kind of have that,
stigma.
stigma that's there. And you know, and that's one of the first things that we explain to them is like, look, we're not here for auditors. We're not turning around and going back to corporate and reporting. You know, this
Blah,
is
blah,
this.
blah, blah, blah.
You're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. We're here to help. We're here to, you know.
I'm trying to think of a company or corporation or anything that actually, where they actually sent a team in to do, and it was supposed to be positive, where something negative wasn't pointed out, or something bad didn't come from the situation.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan, can you think, you've been
No.
around, huh?
It's always ended with
Somebody ends up
something
getting
negative.
fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, you know, that was the big thing. That was one of the reasons why I took the position, was because I didn't want to be that auditor. I didn't want to be that, you know, quote unquote rat or whatnot.
Right.
And it was, and that was what
Just get
was,
stitches.
yeah. And then, so it was really, it was pushed on that no, we're going to make this team better. We're going to be successful, and you know, and the ultimate goal is to make the operation better. And
So how
make
many's
it-
on the team right now?
There's 5 of us on the team. So
You guys are all in Spokane?
no, actually, there's only 2 of us that are the two of us. Well, there's 4 of us that are here, but 2 from a different team. But we're all based in Auburn, so it was an easy flight for us. And the other guys, we got one down in Northern California, one in Chicago, and one in Boston. So on a normal week, we all travel to the same facility, and all 5 of us
So,
are there.
how long did it get you? I'm fascinated. Actually, I really am. How did it? You've been doing this 2 months. How long did it get you 5 to get kind of coordinated?
We did, you know, we had a week's worth of training, kind of just to get together and get to know each other.
Right.
And you know, and kind of surprising to myself, even that our group, you know, got along as well as we did, and even
Yeah, I think
even
somebody was
our
a rat within that fight.
and even our, you know, our VP that oversees us, you know, that was one of the comments that she even made. She's like, I'm really surprised at how well this team is meshed together, and you know, and our goal is to, everybody's kind of got the same mindset and the same goal to, you know, we want to make sure that each one of us succeeds. This is only a temporary assignment. You know, we're only on it for a max of 2 years, so we want to make sure that we do everything to help each other out and to make it so when this project is over, we go up. We don't go back to where we were at. We go up to something
Right. So
different.
that makes it nice. Right?
Maybe. So, this position you're in now are they planning on that being a long-term position, or is this
They don't know.
something
This is something that came around. This team. It kind of was created in a very very quick time frame. It was they kind of rolled this project out. This whole Polaris project. They kind of rolled it out the end of last year, and kind of decided that they wanted to put this team together just earlier this year, and so. It's one of those positions. The future is really unknown. We don't know. We know that
New
kind of
situation.
Yeah, we kind of when we signed up for it, we knew that it could last up to 2 years, but it may last 2 years. It may not last 2 years. It may last longer than 2 years.
Depending on how it goes.
Yeah, it's a real. It's just kind of unsure at this time. We don't know. We just go, kind of just do the day at a time thing and do what we can to make the best of it and go from there.
There's an outline for this to start with, obviously. What the key idea was of this group and what the goals were, correct?
Correct. Yeah, basically the goals are to get everybody on the same page, to assist where needed, and to make sure that each one of these initiatives that we roll out are successful and are that we're there for the we're there to help with to help roll it out and to make it successful.
So then, what happens after you guys complete your job? I mean, you don't go back to what you were doing.
Well,
right?
actually, we do. That was part of that's one of the.
They don't want to go back.
We don't want to,
They
or
want to progress ahead.
nobody, we don't want to, or even our boss doesn't want us to go back to our position. They want us to. The whole point of this is we're going to network. I'm going to interact with people and network with people within the company that I just wouldn't be able to if I sat in worked at the DC and stayed for the next 15, 20 years at the DC or whatnot. I wouldn't meet half the people that I'm meeting right now. And so the hope is and the goal is that if once this is complete, either they extend it out longer and we stay kind of a part of this team, or we move up and we connect with somebody and maybe decide that we want to try a different department from the warehouse operations side of things and go up, or a position opens up in corporate and we decide to take that position. So it's kind of a building opportunity for each one of us too, because all of the team with the exception of our team lead, we've all kind of been just on the warehouse side of things. So the hope is that we learn something new and we develop our repertoire and we get to go try something different afterwards.
And who gets the name, the project? I mean, Polaris. Who came up with that?
I have no. It was somebody that works in Boise, I think.
And is that just a full-time position in naming things?
No, actually, I think this is the first real
Wow,
project.
you actually had some good questions,
named
Ryan.
project that I know of.
Good, very good. So then, you haven't really truly started what you're doing now, have you?
No, it was our first month that we were here, or the first month that we were kind of part of the team was just a training, almost kind of a month-long training. We were going to DCs that were succeeding in some of the initiatives that are out there. Kind of getting the opportunity to see successful or the more or a successful DC with the way that they're running it, and just kind of see the different operations. And so that's why we were down in Portland, we were in Auburn, we were in Chicago. Each one of those for a week, just to see how those operations are different and see how they run them, because they're all ran well. So this is kind of, for the two of us, this is our first big, we're helping out roll out this thing. So we're acting more as trainers right now, just to get the frontline employees to understand or to understand this new thing that we're doing. Next week is kind of our first big
Where are you
trip as a
going?
group.
Where you
Next week we're down in Salt Lake City, so we're down there for a week.
Heads are gonna roll.
No.
So have you been working at the center here in Spokane?
Yeah, just for the last, well, just since yesterday. We came in yesterday, so we're here. We're here today through Thursday, or yesterday through Thursday to help them out, and then I'm sure we'll be back at some point.
Doesn't Mr. Simpson, Terry, drive for Safeway?
Mm-hmm.
We know a guy. He was on the show. Terry, hi. Looking good, by the way. Saw a picture on Facebook just recently. He's a friend of a really good friend of Ryan, a friend of mine. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks really good. So
That job will do it to you.
yeah. Well, not always. Not always.
Well, and I still know a few people that work over at because years ago I worked at the warehouse over there. Still know a few people.
You have to contact them, ask them if they've heard about this Polaris thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Go, hey, have you heard of this Polaris and this old Moulton guy? What do you think of that guy?
So far, what's your typical day like? You know, your task hours.
What are you doing? How's that work, and what are you going to be doing?
The hours vary. It just kind of depends on what the operation is, who we're kind of sitting down with and meeting. But we kind of go through and see where they're. We get to it's kind of a 3-week or a 2-week process that we do on it. So it's kind of a pre-plan and 2 weeks out, 1 week out. Then when we get there, kind of what we do. It's a lot of the meeting with the leadership team and the different people to kind of go through these initiatives, see where they're sitting at with them, running through kind of checklists just to see, okay, so look at their results that they've got right now, where are you guys feeling that you guys are needing some help with, what are you seeing with this project, as far as when you rolled it out, and kind of just gauging the week going from there. We have kind of a list of stuff that we want to cover while we're there, but for the most part, it's kind of on the fly when we get there and do what we can to make it as useful as possible in that week we're there.
Question: if you haven't done this yet, but have you done a training or to do when you go in, if somebody has a particular weakness or they ask, hey, we need help with this to make this better. Have you guys even randomly played with a role play guy?
And that was actually
what example, what happened or what was used?
For like the last 2 weeks, that was kind of what we did. We had right now there's only like 13 of these initiatives that are rolled out. Like I said, we've got an unknown number that are on standby right now.
Sure.
But we've taken the time to basically become the masters of these and know these things in and out, front and back.
Can you give me an example of one?
One of the things that we're looking at is the slotting of the warehouse. How the product is slotted in the warehouse.
What's slotting of the warehouse?
So basically, where in the warehouse the items are placed. So when our order selectors are out there selecting the product to be delivered to in the right place based on size, weight, department that they're going to when they get to the store.
Throw stuff over here.
No, and there's different rules that have to go around it. You can't put your bleaches and your soaps with food because the chemicals and
might cause a problem.
It might cause a little bit of a problem.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So that's one of the projects that we're doing is we're just kind of making sure that every vendor that we have that delivers to our DCs, it could be the same product, but the weights of the product could be off. Especially when you're talking about produce and fresh meat and stuff like that. Yeah. Boxes are the same size, but one could weigh 50 pounds, one could weigh 75 pounds. So ensuring that the dimensions and the weights are accurate on them. We're, it kind of one initiative can affect multiple different aspects of the operation, the warehouse, transportation, actual frontline store. So there's a lot of things that go, but ultimately they all kind of fall in the same thing, which is just making everybody's life easier,
making it efficient and better. Wow, that makes sense. I just have never. Okay, Ryan, you already have You've worked with warehouse, didn't you?
Yeah,
So it makes sense to you?
it does.
Do you know what you're doing?
Not anymore. That's why I don't work there.
Was lining it up, he didn't fight. Since, why, besides maybe the cost, what made it so, Albertson decide, there's gotta be a cost for you 5 guys, and whatever it costs to do this for 2 years, they gotta see a benefit from it.
Correct.
So once again, I've not heard of this elsewhere. Maybe it's gone on, I'm just not out, and I don't deal with this corporates and all that, but I've heard something, I think, where they're sending a team out to make things better, not to kick you in the ass.
Yeah, and it's to, you know, it's like I said, it's kind of more to identify the issues and identify the waste. You know, what are we doing in one DC that might be adding unnecessary cost and unnecessary spending that we're doing in another DC that's, you know, running the exact same operation, same size, same general amount of employees. What are we doing that in this DC that's being successful that we can apply to this DC
But it's
over
not
here?
just to, like DC stores, but you could apply something to one of your other situations that you're going to, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
'Cause you're gonna learn and use the best to try to
And
get the best.
And that's the whole thing is you know, and that's the big piece of it is to pull pull those best practices from every single distribution center and, you know, and implement them into the company as a whole and to make it, you know, make it across the board. You know, one of the big ones that we're dealing with right now, which I think every single company across, especially in Washington State right now, but across the nation is dealing with is the whole retention employee, you know, getting the bodies in the door, getting the people in the door.
Getting customers or employees?
Yeah, employees.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you know, and every warehouse, every industry is struggling right now as far as getting employees in the door.
Not just warehouses, it's restaurants,
Yeah,
hotels,
it's
everything.
every, you know, yeah, it's the whole, I mean, it's everybody's dealing with it. So, you know, we've went through and we revamped our training process to, you know, to really engage with the new employees to show that, you know, that our team and our company as a whole cares about their success, and we want them to be successful because nobody likes to have to retrain or to train new people and to constantly have the turnover.
Yeah,
So,
right.
you know, that's one of our big focuses is our retention. We want people, we want to hire people, we want them in the door, and we want them to stay. So, you know, like I said, they went through a whole new training process and you know, meetings with the new hires, with all members of the management team, so those guys know that, you know, we're here for them. We want them to succeed. We want them to be successful because their success is going to make us successful.
But for my knowledge, that doesn't always roll that way.
It doesn't, and that's why
You would think, and because I always think, and the better somebody does, whether I'm working with them, however, in general in life, the better they do, the better I'm going to do. I just, whether they're doing it with me or someone else, their life is better because something I had to do with them.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, and we kind of talked and we got input of employees. We actually sat down with the employees and kind
Why,
of
you
talked
actually
to them.
talk to employees? How dare you?
And got their feedback on the whole new hire training process and kind of what they thought about it. And that's the other part is that we're engaging everybody in this project. It's not just we're just going to the leadership team and saying, okay, here's what we're going down and we're talking to those guys that are on the front line that are picking the cases. It's like, what can we do to make this? Here's what we have. Here's what we want to try to roll out to you guys. What do you guys think? What changes do you guys think need to be made? What can we take back and look at and see, hey, how can we make your lives easier? How can we make this as a whole more successful?
That encompasses a lot.
It does, and that's what a successful company does.
Wow. I'm just kind of curious where that came from. Out somebody somewhere in Albertsons or somebody did somebody to something who's confused by this. People want to succeed. And
Yeah.
it's confusing me. Yeah, I've been at places that's not the deal. You're just a peon. I was a peon many times, just still am. But
I've been at many companies where it's that way, and it's, you know, and that's the one thing. It's I don't plan on leaving where I'm at, because
well, obviously it's a challenge. It's exciting. It's fun. It's a positive
It is.
situation. It's not you're not going in and having to fire anybody now, but maybe in the future. Okay, Mr. King, got anything? Any questions? I just want to make sure you feel a part of it, being co-hosting the
Host?
show.
Being a host.
I threw the co in there. He had to throw the
So, so far out of your new job,
Mhm.
what do you dislike and what do you like the most?
It's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's weird to get into the whole traveling aspect. I mean, only being home, 2 days a week or whatnot.
Katie
it's-
likes that, by the way. I've talked to her.
it's definitely something that for me is difficult or is a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be to adjust to. Living in a hotel, living out of a bag, or living out of a suitcase. Yeah, it's weird and it's difficult, but at the same time, I like it also because I love to travel. I love to see the world. I love to see airplanes are my second life. So.
Yeah, but you get to go places and get paid to do it now.
Yeah, and I get to go places that I would never really go
Last time
to.
you get paid to go to D.C.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
So
it's,
not recently.
Not-
I mean, you
not-
did, but with any.
yeah, it's been a long time. So, but yeah, that's like I said, it's kind of both. Not necessarily dislike, but
Good and
it's
bad.
it's
Okay.
hard. It's the
Each
good and the
other.
bads. It's just but it's yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. So you were working for Safeway or Albertsons? I'm sorry, in a warehouse doing whatever you were doing. What was the title before?
Superintendent. So kind of
Superintendent, but same
assistant.
superintendent. And then he did superintendent, Polaris, whatever. Okay. Confused. They got obviously. Was this an increase in pay? You don't have to be specific. But you've always had benefits and 401 or anything. The reason why I'm asking for any future employees that might want to apply,
well, and that's
not for this particular, but
Yeah.
in general.
No, and that's the one nice thing about Albertsons is they have great benefits, they have great pay. I mean, it's and it's and so yes, there was some benefits that came with me accepting this position, considering I'm not home as much as
Sure.
as a normal person is. But
Are you normal?
no,
Okay.
I never have been.
I didn't think so.
But yeah, no, I mean it's a great, even our low or even our lowest, our entry level employees. I mean that's
Don't say lowest.
Yeah, I
That's
know
not nice.
that was not what I meant when I
Yeah,
said it. But
sorry, he's
our-
bad.
Our entry level,
Yes.
our entry level warehouse employees, they have their, for here, especially here in Washington, you got the benefit of being a part of the union, great benefits, great pay starting out, great pay, top out, vacation, 401k, with the union, you get the pension with the union, so there's a lot of, it's a great, I mean, I think back to when I was, before I started at the airport and everything, and at the time I actually had tried to get on with Safeway and Albertsons back then, but it was too long of a drive for me because at the time our distribution center on the west side of the mountains was in Bellevue.
Yeah,
I was living in Puyallup. I didn't really want to drive the hour a day, so
yeah, that would have been.
it was
So doing this, have you got to know more about, once again, entry level, what encompasses that? Maybe not specifically per job, but you're going, okay, this is how this starts. This is what they get, basically. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just the knowledge of
the
all.
previous, my previous position when I was, I was
Superintendent.
I was, yeah, I was basically, I started as a supervisor when I came to Safeway, so I was supervising the frontline employees. So I was supervising the warehouse order selectors or the warehouse guys, and so yeah, that whole, I mean, I learned all that stuff, and it's leadership's leadership, but every company's different as far as how those frontline guys are, and the different parts of their job. So yeah, I learned all that.
I wish you knew how to talk to people.
I know.
It doesn't run in the family.
Nope.
I blame your uncle.
Yeah.
Anything about hours, money, benefits, anything that surprised you, good or bad? Even when you started with the company 3 years ago?
No, I mean it's always been a good. It's always been great for me coming from where I was.
What do you have? And we don't have to get into who. I know you went through some heartaches there over the years.
Mhm.
Was there benefits in 401 and all that when you left? Whatever you were doing?
No, the
Okay.
company that I worked for. Well, let me rephrase that. Yes, they were not good, but the company that I had previously worked for. I mean, I was the one that chose to stay for as long as I did
We all
stay
make
with
choices,
them.
yeah.
You know, I stayed with them for 7-8 years.
Hoping for better.
If I could go back and do it all over again, I probably wouldn't. But
Live and learn.
I won't talk down about that.
You learn something.
But
You move forward.
yeah, and and that was the thing is I think that probably the ups and downs that I went through when I was at the airport. I mean, going from a manager position back down to a salaried manager position, making pretty decent money, down to a position of basically a supervisor and taking a $16.50 an hour cut in pay. And working my way back up again, and then I'm having the unfortunate circumstance of them choosing to close down the building that I was managing, so having to go back and kind of drop back down again, and try to work my way back up, and a couple too many times of being told I wasn't getting a position, and decided it was time for a change. So,
What do you think?
and I think that it was the right choice, and thankfully I had my wife pushed me to make sure that I do it because she was tired of seeing the way that I was getting treated there. So it was a good,
Yeah,
good
sometimes you have
choice.
to, yeah.
You got to just bite the bullet and listen to
Yeah.
them.
Opportunities, you're not going to fail because you're not going to just stop doing whatever. You're going to find out, figure something out.
Yeah.
I know that. That's what you do. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Figure it out. If you don't know it, figure it out. You're going to learn something from it. Just because you don't know it doesn't. Just because you don't know everything about something you may want or want to do,
Yep.
figure it out. Find the information. It's out there. That's why we're here. Ryan, you got.
Well, I would like to point out, because you did say fail, and I'm, a strong believer if you keep trying to move forward, you've never failed. You're
No.
just learning more
Correct.
things. You only fail when you just quit.
Stop.
Yeah, and
Yep.
that's the big thing. And I mean, when I had my first demotion, we'll call it,
With the
because
other
that's what it
company.
was with the other company. I was 25 years old. And it was the first time that I'd taken that hit. I thought I was ready. I had them reach out to me and say, "Hey, we want you to come over here and do this," and I did it. And then, like I said, it lasted 2 months. And for a lot of people, I think that probably would just be absolutely debilitating and would just completely deflate your whole desire, want to do it. But it's one of those things where you got to stick with it, and you got to just learn from your mistakes. You got to become better. And I look back now, and if I had to go back through and do it over again, there's no way that I would accept that position because I was not ready for it. I was not in a position I did not have the experience to do it. I could load an airplane, and I could make sure that a flight was turned in more than enough time and get it out on time. But as far as leadership goes, and actually and doing the
You're
whole,
25.
I was 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of young.
Yeah, it was, and
I'm saying they couldn't be done, but
no, and I mean it's
life experience.
it was if I could go, like I said, if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't have taken that job because I wasn't ready for it. I can now look back and say
Sure.
I was just doing it for the money because again, you flash a lot of money to a 25-year-old, they're gonna jump it.
No.
Yeah, that's weird.
Money.
But
I will say I've had a lot of jobs / careers that had managers and supervisors that definitely weren't ready for their position
I think
then.
we all have,
And I mean, it's,
or at least
but
that's
yet
how
they're
a lot
still
of us
in them.
feel.
But,
I've dealt with those. Anything on this? I find it fascinating because what you're doing is going and doing something positive. You've improved your life. However, because you knew somebody, they offered, but you made yourself available. You've taken a step. Figured it out. Take some lumps along the way.
Yeah, I mean that's part of
Life.
life.
Yeah.
You take your lumps, you learn from it.
Hopefully.
you give back, and you make sure that the next time that situation comes up, you don't make the same mistake, and
Hopefully.
you can't give up.
Yeah. Your parents wouldn't let you anyway.
Yeah.
They would have done
Yeah.
some way. I don't know exactly, but somehow, some way.
Well, and I think that's where I got a lot of it from. Is I mean, obviously, I got most of it from there. Because, I mean, you know, they both busted their ass for years, and that's where I got my work ethic from.
So, you want to ask him that question?
I do.
So,
So,
go ahead.
what did you want to be as a kid?
When you were a
Wanted to be like
kid,
a cowboy?
an astronaut.
No, I wanted to be a pilot. That was the big thing, and I will. That goes back to every or most males out there's favorite movie growing up in the '80s was.
And number 2's coming out.
Number 2 is coming out this December.
I didn't know this, but I'm guessing that's what it
But
is.
you know, and that was the big thing. Was Top Gun was the thing was the movie, and
Yep.
you know, and I always wanted to be, you know, growing up with a dad that was in the airline industry. You know, I was around airplanes all the time, and I loved it, and I wanted to do it. And unfortunately, you know, at the time, I was told I couldn't join the military because of my eyesight, and or I couldn't be a pilot in the military because of my eyesight. So I thought about doing the commercial side of things, but then there was no way in hell I'd ever be able to afford the training and stuff that went along with it when I was that age, and it was, so that's why I stuck it around the airport so long, because it was the best way to kind of be a part of it, but not be a part of it, or but not do it.
So, my question with that one, can you see, because you're maybe trying to get that, just even to fly just yourself?
It's something that I've thought about
It's in the
over the
back of your
years. I mean, it's, you know, to go back, because I mean, I've done introductory flights and everything when I was younger, but it's a very expensive hobby. Very expensive hobby.
But you don't have kids.
No,
Maybe,
but
and you might be able to do
I have other things like my house and,
Yeah.
and such that I
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying.
I'll never own I don't want to ever own a plane because I
No.
don't ever want to pay for the maintenance
No,
on
no,
it.
and I understand that, but where you can actually, you're actually a pilot.
Yeah,
where you
I
can
mean,
go out and rent a plane or go flying with whatever. So
I've thought about it, but
Okay.
I mean, it's you know,
yeah,
I spend enough time on airplanes that I don't need to fly them.
okay. Well,
I don't know if I
Be a
trust
backseat pilot.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust myself flying it, but yeah.
Okay, we're done. That was easy.
Oh,
I don't know if we actually covered much besides what you're trying to accomplish with the situation with the Polaris team, within Albertson coming and trying to make a positive within the stores and make it work for everybody. I find that fascinating and exciting because it doesn't. I'm not really aware of that situation. Usually it's bad, negative, negative, bad. And they're done that way. Huh? How about you, Ryan? Have you ever been fired from like a part-time store or a second-hand store? Did you quit?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I haven't been. You?
Oh, let me think about it. Hold on. I got a reference. I don't know if I can actually talk about it this time. Oh my God, Joel, thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for
Glad to be. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you got dinner out of it. You're getting
I did.
dinner tomorrow, so you know
Yeah.
what the heck. You know a guy.
I know a guy.
You know your aunt.
I know a couple.
Yeah, you know they're pricks, but whatever.
Yeah.
Now you know Ryan. Yeah, he's a prick. I mean, Mr. King. How are you?
Don't spoil dinner though. I'm just saying.
You finally fessed
I mean,
up
I
for
would
firing
later,
me.
with more
He had to fire when he fired me. He fired me
advance
from the
notice.
secondhand bookstore. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make you dinner.
He fired me from secondhand bookstore. Mr. King. He owed me a dinner. Finally got it. Finally.
That's why the uppers like me so much. People don't mess with me.
I'm gonna be talking to those guys. I don't get it. I don't know why. Thanks for watching Career Paths by Infonet. Thanks for listening. Please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment for Ryan. Just, we're gonna see if anybody even is paying attention out there.
According to the numbers, they're not.
And yet here we are, keep doing it. We're over a year. We're over a year later.
Yeah,
50, 60 episodes so far. Somewhere.
something like that. Yeah,
We just don't know any better. We're glad for punishment. And the guys at Infonet, they
57.
wow. Why? I guess doing a podcast, somebody will do like 5 or 10, maybe give up at that point.
Yeah,
What is our problem?
slow learners.
Obviously, here we are. It's your life. Make it happen. Till next time, Mr. King.
Goodbye.
Joel, thanks, man.
Thank you.
See you guys. Take care. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh. Silly.